Hello, esteemed viewers. Today is March 3rd, and we're presenting a traditional review of events on the Ukrainian war fronts. We'll begin in the Avdeevka sector, where our troops continue to engage in intense battles with the enemy. They are along the Berdichi-Orlovka-Tonenka line, with the enemy attempting to restrain our attacks with counterattacks for the past few days. This is the second time we are having such exchanges of fire, and gradually the enemy's reserves, they had sent quite a few, are beginning to dwindle. For example, yesterday, our troops continued to press forward, both in Tonenka and in Berdichi. But the enemy is emphasizing their desperate attempts to hold this line of defense, which is based on a fairly good network of roads. From their perspective, it makes sense if they can't hold us here, they will be forced to retreat much further into the Karlovka, Novoselovka Pervaya, and Ocheretino areas. The enemy clearly does not want to do this, as it would give us a highly advantageous position for an offensive further north, and this will significantly weaken the situation for the enemy in Krasnogorivka, where incidentally also yesterday our troops were able to re-enter the southern part of Krasnogorivka by exploiting the fact that the enemy has redeployed rapid reaction forces, let's call them that. Now to the Avdeevka front, the 3rd Storm Brigade were leveraging this. Our troops are trying to secure a foothold in the southern part of Krasnogorivka once more. Intense fighting continues. I stress, it seems very likely that gradually reserves that the enemy had been throwing into this sector over several days are running out in this sector. And there's good reason to think that soon our troops' offensive operations here will resume, just as the enemy, remember, at that time the enemy used all his reserves in an attempt to strip us of our hard-earned victories in the Kyiv area. That didn't work out for them. Fierce fighting went on for several days. After the enemy admitted defeat, he tries again to hold this line of defense, slowly retreating. In other words, once again, this tactic of the enemy did not yield the expected results, but in any case, it delays our progress. Our offensive actions also continue in the area of Novomikhailivka. Here, our troops made some progress in the center of this settlement, ongoing intense fights in the northern area around the settlements of Pobeda and Georgievka. There was tactical advancement in Georgievka. Nevelskoye is slowly being surrounded. Here, our troops reached the southern edge of the settlement. And we're also keeping our fingers crossed for our guys, because breaking the enemy's defenses in Nevelskoye and Krasnoye could bring us a new significant victory by liberating the city of Krasnohorovka from the occupiers, which would immediately push the enemy units farther from Donetsk and thus reduce the number of shellings. Well, it will also create prerequisites for further movement forward in the area of Vuhledar and further to Velika Novoselka. In fact, all these pieces of the front, they are interconnected and one and the same. Sooner or later, the enemy's problems in one sector are transferred to another, because, for example, in order to neutralize our offensive actions in Rayoneki, the enemy is transferring reserves, including from other. And of course, if it is increasing somewhere, it means decreasing somewhere, and this allows our troops to move forward, for example, as is happening now in the northern area of Kupinsk. There is evidence that the troops are having tactical success, and there is also information about the advance of the front line, which is still unclear of our troops in the area of Turnov. This is the estuary sector. That is, here the enemy is forced to withdraw units, to remove reserves, to remove artillery, which allows our troops to actively probe its positions. Well, in Zaporizhia, in the sector, our troops continue to undermine the enemy with air and artillery strikes, and at once along a large length. From Kamenskoye to Gulyai Pol, I repeat, it is quite possible to expect further developments here. As long as we talk, it's too early to talk about it, but we're keeping a close eye on this area. What is happening now on the line of contact, I will discuss this topic for now. That's it. Goodbye and see you tomorrow.